Our summary. Perfect. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Friday, September 13th AgRobotics working group meeting. Hopefully that doesn't bode ill for any of us here today. We would start off with announcing new membership, but we've got none for this week, but we just had the farm show, so we should have a nice little list there next week of new people who have signed up. And then moving on from there, we'll head into this week's presentation. So I'd like to introduce Ashley Van de Sand. I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah, my husband would say it's Van de Sande, but I'm I'm not Dutch, he is, so I just say Van de Sande and that's fine.
Okay, good to know. She's joining us from source.ag with her presentation, Empowering Growers Through AI.
Thank you, and I'll share my screen and get my presentation going. Can you all see it okay?
We can.
Okay, awesome. All right. Before I get started on the presentation, I wanted to first thank you all for letting me join and present to the group. I was able to sit in on a couple meetings in the past, so it's really insightful. And aside from introducing Source today and who we are and what we provide, really we're looking to build our network out here in North America. I'm based in London, Ontario, and we've got a couple of my counterparts also here in North America. But as you'll see today during my presentation, most of our team is based in the Netherlands. So it's really our goal just for networking and to get more people to know who Source is and the solutions that we have to offer. A little bit of background on me. I am on the sales team. I'm a sales manager here for North America. Like I said, I'm based in London, Ontario. But my background spans over a decade in the horticultural space. So prior to joining Source, my focus was on horticultural lighting, specifically LEDs. That's what I did for the last 12 years. And it was really exciting to be a part of the early adoption and over this past decade, see how lighting has evolved in greenhouse operations, how much knowledge that we've learned from lighting, and how much more we're still learning about lighting. But when this opportunity with Source presented itself and AI solutions, that got me excited. I feel like while it's implemented today in some growing practices, there's still so much more for us to learn and do. So it seemed like the next stepping stone for me in the horticultural space. So here's a quick overview of the agenda that I wanted to go over with the group today. Provide a quick introduction on Source and then dive into the 4 solutions that we offer. And those are the Plant app and Track, Cultivate, and Control. Before we get into all of our solutions and the specifics around it, I wanted to give just some background on who Source is. We are a 4-year-old company, so we were founded in 2020. Our team is primarily based in the Netherlands, but again, we have our team here that's in North America as well. Today, we have our solutions deployed in 15 countries and over 270 greenhouses, and it's being used over 1,700 hectares. So we've implemented our solutions throughout the world, and you can see we have a couple installations in North America, but our focus has been outside of North America. Really, our goal is to deploy our AI-driven solutions for horticulture throughout the world, but that takes time. A little bit about our team. It's a big team. There's over 100 of us, and it's comprised of data and plant scientists, engineers, developers, and the commercial team. Again, most are based in the Netherlands, but we're all working together in collaboration with some of the top growers to help develop and deploy our AI solutions. So a lot of our solutions are designed based on grower feedback, and I think that's really important. When I entered the LED market in 2011, we were just manufacturing lights with the manufacturers never actually stepping foot in a greenhouse. And that caused a lot of failures. And so I think what's important is when we're developing a solution to do it in parallel with feedback from the growers. And I just wanted to highlight this, at the core of Source, we have a purpose, and our purpose is to democratize the access to fruit and vegetables while honoring our planetary bounds. I mean, our goal is ultimately to make vegetables and fruit more available in an affordable and a sustainable way for more people. And we're going to accomplish that by continuing to develop our AI solutions and accelerate adoption so that more greenhouses have access to more robust and digital solutions. And we all know that resources are scarce, and we see the movement of more growers opting to move into a CEA covered environment. And so that means they're moving into greenhouses. So Source's focus is to help those growers optimize their production and operations. But we all know there's challenges with growing in any environment. And a greenhouse growing requires management of so many parameters, over 100. I mean, I'm sure there's even more than that, but aside from plant management, a grower and their team are constantly assessing conditions, and then they're having to make decisions based on those conditions. I think, but managing all those parameters often means it's taking away from the day-to-day growing. They don't have the opportunity to optimize how they're growing or make their environment more efficient. So Source comes in with the goal to use our AI to decode plant biology, so that'll hopefully empower growers to be more successful. But how does it work? What do we do? What do we have to offer? Again, these are the solutions, and we'll dive into an overview of those. We have 4 solutions: the Plant app, Track, Cultivate, and Control, and they all integrate with the climate computers and sensor data. Ultimately, what we want to do is build like an intelligent layer around greenhouses. So we don't want to change the way growers are doing, but we just want to make it more intelligent for them so they can standardize and de-risk operations. So first, we'll start with the Plant app. It's basically a digital crop registration tool. Today, most growers use Excel, and it's a manual plant registration process. They use that also for yield prediction, but that can often be very time consuming. It requires specialized knowledge of the plants, and it's, again, a lot of manual work. So much of the data that they're collecting, it's influenced also by human subjectivity. So that can be really error prone and then result in inaccurate data capture. Was there a question? I'll keep going.
Had to mute someone.
So now with the Plant app, growers can digitally capture vegetative and generative plant performance, and it's consistent and accurate. And we do that by creating like protocols for that data capture. So it allows that data capture to be standardized. And it also makes it easier for other people, aside from the head grower, to be doing crop registration. In short, they record like what's observed. They follow the development by creating what we call digital twins within the app. The idea is to minimize the user action in greenhouses. So it's supposed to cut time spent on plant measurement so growers can optimize other parts of greenhouse operations. And again, within the app, we have nice little protocols that they can refer to when they're doing crop registration. So it gives them guidance on how to capture plant data accurately. And ultimately, the goal with that is if there's multiple facilities, if they're all using the Plant app, then they're doing their crop registration and data capturing the same. And so what do we do with that data? The Source Plant app then converts all of that detailed data from crop registration into actionable insights. And we feed that data into our dashboard called Track so they can visualize and monitor plant performance. So this is Track. It centralizes all the data sources into a single dashboard. And we do this through integration with the climate computers and sensors already in place at the greenhouse. So Track is retrieving data every 5 minutes so growers can have a real-time overview of their operation. And then within the dashboard, growers can select from over 60 KPIs from plant, climate, and irrigation data to review metrics and measurements. So they have the ability to input a crop plan for that crop cycle. They input that data or that crop plan into Track, and then from there, they have the ability to track their performance versus their actual crop plan within the dashboard. So moving along to Cultivate, or I should say cultivate and control. There are two modules that are our AI-driven solutions. So cultivate is our all-in-one AI solution for harvest predictions, and it's managed within the track dashboard. Today, accurate yield forecast is extremely difficult. Growers are usually determining this based on fruit set dates and then making an estimate on harvest and development time. This then determines how many harvestable fruits and weight they'll have, but oftentimes growers can be off 10 to 50%. So with Cultivate, we want to better support growers. Cultivate consolidates the plant app measurements and the climate details or data to simulate plant growth and development to predict harvest dates and total yield. We also want to optimize cultivation strategy to maximize the yield. So within Cultivate, growers can simulate crop plans. And what that allows them to do is continually visualize how changing conditions might impact the results. And then that can make it simple for them to compare and improve their current growing strategy. So like, for example, they can go into Cultivate and simulate a crop plan where they may want to see, what happens if they change the plant density or the pruning strategy. What happens to plant load and yield if the temperature changes or the pruning changes? They can then take those different scenarios and compare them with charts and tables. And then if one strategy looks to be more efficient or provide a better yield, they can revise their crop plan and then update their strategy. So just to provide an overview of what Source's AI can do to improve yield prediction and crop. Again, Source takes the data from the plant app to determine the plant stage. And then through our dashboard track, we are capturing the crop plan, the climate data, and we're determining the development time of the fruit. And lastly, that data is then compiled together to then determine harvestable fruits and fruit weight to provide the potential harvest data. And with Cultivate, an additional note is that it also allows growers to better analyze their crop more accurately. And so they're able to then provide forecasts on yield up to 2 to 8 weeks out. And this really varies based on farm. My understanding is oftentimes growers have to provide a budget to their sales team in advance to the crop season. And then maybe it's 6 or 3 weeks out, they have to then provide updated yields. And so really our goal with Cultivate is to allow a grower to be more proactive within the crop plan, within the crop season. So going into their crop plan, simulating different strategies so that they can ultimately be more accurate in what they're communicating to their team. And I'll move on to our last solution, which is what we call control, and that's for irrigation, and it autonomously executes irrigation plans. So Source Irrigation Control is an AI-driven solution, and the goal is to revolutionize the way that growers can scale, strategize, and succeed in irrigation management. The way irrigation strategies are typically managed today is that a grower is constantly monitoring weather conditions and plant development. And that really requires the attention of a grower almost 24/7, especially on days where they know that the weather is going to be changing. They have to be really on it. It takes their undivided attention. They have to spend time monitoring those conditions and then adjust the strategy as needed. So this often leads to their targets not being met. And so we've captured some data from our existing customers on
salt.
What?
No pellets.
Yeah, I heard that.
Rocky salt.
not another question.
Sorry about that. I just muted them. Sorry about that.
No worries. So this is based on existing customer data, and it's just showing that our growers are not meeting their irrigation targets. But with Source Control, our system allows irrigation management to be predictive versus reactive. So a grower uses AI to predict the water and nutrient needs. The grower still sets their targets. They still set their irrigation targets. So they have complete control over that. But what Source does is we monitor weather forecasts, we monitor the lighting and the sensor data. We then create the set points, and they're sent to the climate computer, and then the irrigation strategy is executed. And this cycle continues with control. It's continually creating set points every 15 minutes for the next 24 hours. And that's to ensure that we're executing the strategy accurately. In addition, we're also always tracking the quality of the sensor. So if there's ever an issue with a sensor, our team will send a notification. Our system will automatically send a notification to the growers. And so today, with our growers that are using control, this data is based on existing customers, and they've reported that they're increasing their accuracy with their irrigation strategy by utilizing Source. So high level, this is what controls functionalities entail. We provide optimization, insights, and quality. So with optimization, we're making sure to implement the right dry down targets. We're implementing the correct strategy to meet their EC targets, consistent drip EC during the day. That's being managed through control. And we're also creating automatic set points that are then written and sent to the climate computer. And then beyond that, within Track, the dashboard that we have, we're providing insights. So they're able to see their insights on a shot level, historically and for the future. They're also able to see local weather predictions and irrigation data historically and for the future as well. And as I mentioned before, ensuring sensor accuracy and notifications. And that kind of segues into quality as well, that we're continually monitoring the sensors. And so another interesting piece to note is that control can also operate without an active internet connection. And if for whatever reason the internet's down for 6 or more hours, then the grower will also receive a notification for that. So in short, what Source is trying to do is create a full digitization for growing operations supported by AI. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashley. Really appreciate you taking the time to present all your technology to us.
Yeah. Thanks for including me.
Pardon me?
Thanks for including me.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to open it up to any questions or comments that anybody might have based on the presentation.
What's the business model, Ashley? Is there a setup fee and a monthly subscription, or what? How would that set up for?
Yeah, so
I said 4 acres of if I was a 4-acre greenhouse grower.
yeah, so Source works directly with all of our growers, and it's based on an annual subscription service model. But then we also have an implementation team. So then, once a project is signed and underway, our implementation team will then work closely with the climate computer for integration, and then any of the sensors as well.
Awesome. Any other questions?
And what was the overall? So I'm a greenhouse grower. If I implement all your new tools, what kind of range of benefit, productivity benefit have you've been seeing? Any gut feel for that?
Yeah, in terms of quantifying it.
Yeah.
You know what? I do have the metrics, and I apologize that I don't have them handy. I've got some metrics that I know that our team, outside of the irrigation control that I reported right on accuracy, I do have some data. Perhaps I can follow up with the group on that. I know that we've done some analysis on time savings, for example, on using the plant app for crop registration. And then we do have some data also on accuracy with our cultivate yield predictions. If you don't mind, I'll make a note and then follow up with those numbers for you.
Yeah, I know the producers are always looking for an ROI number, and they know there's 10 different things that you're going to implement with these new data-driven decision-making tools. So, my gut would tell me it's a pretty decent productivity gain to go to a system like this versus trying to walk through the greenhouse and guess.
Absolutely. Of course, growers always want to know when are they going to make their money back on an investment, and how is this going to ultimately save them time and improve their productivity, like you're saying. Yeah, I'll find those numbers and share that with the group.
Perfect. Good presentation. That was fun.
Thank you.
Uh,
Dan?
Evan, yeah, absolutely.
Just quickly, Ashley, thanks. We met earlier at
Hey.
Vineland, but thanks for for revisiting this. I think it's really interesting technology, and I'm curious about. Do you have information on the difference in terms of uptake between, let's say, your European counterparts and the North American outlook for your company? I mean, is the North American interest in, say, this kind of, in for shorthand, like digital twinning exercise, is there a big appetite in Europe and a nascent appetite in North America, or do you feel that there's a lot of, you're obviously invested because you're in North America and you're
Sure.
excited about that
I
prospect?
hope they're interested. No.
Yeah, but do you feel that it's missionary work, or do you feel that it's, this is a slam dunk and there's a nice runway and lots of people are prepared for this? What do you
I
think?
think it's different. So I think there is an appetite in both Europe and in North America. The model on how operations work in the Netherlands is different than here. However, what I'm seeing in North America is that some of these larger greenhouse facilities are acquiring smaller facilities. And so I see this as a really great tool, as I mentioned in my presentation, not just for standardizing how data is captured in the crop registration piece, but for providing the insight on yield predictions or just harvest data. And so it's the sales team that can tap into this dashboard and see how all their different locations are performing. I hear it from growers that they're having challenges, that they have these pitfalls with data capture and how it's not accurate and their forecasts are off, but no one has really been asking, like, how do we improve that? So it's almost is kind of missionary work where we have to explain to them that there is a tool that you can use. There is something out there. We do have competitors, and I think they are more present in North America, is what I'm finding, compared to the Netherlands. At least I think there's more competition out here. But what we're trying to do that differentiates us is provide a full suite of solutions, an end-to-end solution, versus just here's how you do one piece of the puzzle. But I think there's room for all of us to work together in this space, and I definitely think there's an appetite, but I think we're just scratching the surface right now. But we'll be at Canadian Greenhouse Conference, so I think that'll be a really good first step in getting in front of more people.
I was going to say it'd be great if you're at CGC, and then we can chat further. So that's
Absolutely.
great. Thank you for the info. I think it's really motivating direction. So thanks a lot.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. Any other last questions for Ashley? No? All right. If anybody does think of something, definitely you can either reach out. I'm sure you can reach out to Ashley directly, or if you want to reach out to me, I can make that connection after the call. Ashley, thank you again for joining us and for your presentation. We really appreciate it. All right. In that case, we'll move on to the next part of our agenda, conferences, meetings, field tours, and demos. I know there are several people on the chat right now who were also at the Canada's Outdoor Farm Show the last 3 days, or for a part of the 3 days. So I'd love to hear of anybody's insights or comments about the show, how they thought it went. Learn anything interesting? Evan, go ahead.
I'll just just to say that was the first I've been to, let's say CGC and lots of indoor events, and obviously as a youth growing up in London, went to plowing matches and things, but this felt to me like a really great and really interesting event. I mean, it was massive, much bigger than I'd anticipated. I mean, I had some idea, but I thought I mean, first of all, it was a beautiful day, so that felt very lucky. But also, just the range of people and the range of prospective buyers, the people who are wandering about, it really spoke directly to, obviously, to growers. I felt like it was interesting to see the contrast, and it gave a bit of a preview for, I felt like the innovation zone that was kind of just across the road, if you will, from the main event, really made me feel like, we're at a staging area for soon to be entered into the official area where, imagine all of those large equipment operators with all of that, multi-million dollars worth of equipment all laid out like that. Imagine if slowly those types of large scale demonstrations and sales sites are eventually infiltrated by robotics, right? And there are yards and lots that are also selling this type of equipment at such a similar scale in the future. It was fascinating to think about how, we can move from one side of the road to the other and then start spreading through different distributors, and, that similar model could potentially be infiltrated by the types of things we discuss here. And I think it was just really interesting to imagine the scale that things like this could reach if truly applicable to, large scale commercial growers of various types of crops. So it's a ton of fun. It was really interesting.
Kelly was a tremendous host at the OMAFA Innovation Pavilion. So thank you. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Well, thank you for participating. It's really important to show folks what's up and coming and give that profile. Yeah, I'm always, interested in anybody has ideas and how to for continuous improvement and how we could make it even better for next year. So if anybody has any ideas, please feel free to either touch base with Dan or reach out to me directly. How we can drive more people to the demo field as well. So thanks everybody so much.
Thank you, Kelly. And as a exhibitor there this year myself, and it was sort of my first show, from my perspective, if anyone is interested in hearing it, it was really cool to get to meet a lot of people who I see here on the call, but have not had the chance to meet in real life. There were several of you there, so that was always great. And then also, from the time I was there, had a lot of really good conversations with people who were coming up and interested in what the group was and everything like that. So personally, I think it was great to have the working group have a presence there. I think we reached out to some people. We've already seen a couple new memberships come in, that'll be on next week's agenda. So yeah, I thought it was a great experience for those 3 days.
Couple of highlights. We had Jason to chat a little bit about the demo. I was hoping Chuck would be on here, but looks like he's busy. Agriculture Minister Flack was there. Very enthusiastic supporter of bringing innovation and commercialization of things like robotics, to the sector. So he wants to, figure out how OMAFA can support groups like this to commercialize and bring research and new products and improve productivity with the farmers. In his speech, he mentioned in Ontario, the agri-food sector is $51 billion of GDP, which is a pretty big chunk. And, he wants to take it to 75 billion. And the reason we can do that is with R&D and innovation and organizations like the working group. So I found that very inspiring that, some of our leaders are stepping up and want to continue to invest in this space. And then we had a number of people from OMAFA, Farm Credit Canada, like senior executives coming through and committing, guys like Kane, maybe Garson can talk about some of the activity too. So we're all dead tired from 3 days in the hot sun, and I've kind of lost my voice too, but I'm feeling really invigorated by the support that we're going to get, and yeah, it's not a matter of if this technology, AI, robotics, is going to be adopted. It's how quickly, because it's starting to happen now, and we saw that with the farmer interest. So very exciting the last few days. So thanks for everybody for their support.
And on that note, so with the demos, so we had about 8 robots there on display across the site, across the field from the main area of the farm show. And there we showed off some of the robots we've been talking about and showing, or maybe you've seen at other trade shows, but that were just stationary. So here we actually had them in soil doing what they would do. So planting, we had one strip tilling, we had a robot doing some cultivation. So that was cool to show everyone the robots in action. It's one thing to see it when it's sitting there on a video versus when you can go up to it and see it turn at the headland or raise the tooling or throw dust in the air and see how it works through the dust and all that. So that was cool. Lots of great conversations there. Wasn't a lot of people coming to that site, but a lot of meaningful and deep conversations there about what that might look like going forward or how that can be implemented on someone's farm. A lot of the technologies that we were showing, though, were meant more so for vegetable crops. So this show, I would say, is more so geared towards cash crop. So it was more so like a philosophical discussion as opposed to maybe sales discussions. But it was great too. This year we did something a bit different. We invited a number of different local robotics companies, and carbon robotics as well, to share that space with us. And that was awesome too, just to show the different technologies that are out there and what's coming out of Ontario. Yeah, lots of great conversations. And one thing of note to answer the question from Dan, something that I noticed this year was there was more people from outside of industry who maybe this was their first farm show coming to the show to maybe do some research or see what's going on in the industry. For example, Craig from KPMG, I see you're on the call, on Samantha, met there as well. So that was cool to see you guys in person. And from my understanding, it was the first time you were at the farm show. So just seeing more people interested in the space was awesome to see. And yeah, it's going to be interesting how things maybe will change, and hopefully more funding will come to agriculture to fund R&D in the space. And then also on the note of manufacturers come into the space, it's going to be great to see some of the expertise from other industries come into this field so we could drive it further and take it farther.
Now that you're an old hand at farm shows.
Yeah. I guess after 3 years, you become an old hand at farm shows. I'm pretty fresh.
I think that's
too.
important is to get more people that maybe are in the robotics sector that don't know agriculture and food. Having them out, because we had Cameron from Real Life Robotics out. He wrote a nice note on on LinkedIn on how welcoming everybody was and how engaged everybody was and supportive. So I think that's what we want, and that's the benefit of things like the working group here, and it's our ecosystem. So we want to be welcoming and supportive.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I was new to the farming world too. I came from the city, and I very much felt that when I joined this sector. So yeah, hoping to continue that, and definitely seeing that continue. It's a great industry, and everyone seems to welcome others with open arms. So it's great to be a part of that.
Ian, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
So just a couple of comments to add to what Jason and Joe were saying. I didn't get out to much of the innovation stuff because I was in the OMAFRA booth all week. But some comments. The grains crop sector, like Jason said, is a big part of the people that come to the outdoor farm show. And there's a lot of anxiety out there right now because we're coming off of one of the biggest highs in agriculture, and a lot of money spent on infrastructure on farms and such. And there's anxiety there. And I've never had as many people this summer say to me that the price of farm equipment is taking the fun out of farming. And so what that means is a couple of things is I think they're going to be looking for alternatives. Big equipment has got big price tags on it, and it's not going to come down in price, at least in the short term. And so are there autonomous and robotic potentials that could fit in. And I know that most of our work in the AgRobotics working group so far has been in the horse sector, and Mary Ruth or somebody else would have to speak to the economics in that sector right now. But on the grain side, I think that this is a neat opportunity for us as to move some technology into in front of their eyeballs in terms of things that can fit. But the other thing that I think we need to be aware of and keep in mind when we're talking about the robotic stuff, as exciting as it is, we have to keep it in the context is that Joe Farmer or Jane Farmer is not going out tomorrow to buy all robotics and replace their entire fleet of equipment. And so in the salesmanship that we do, we have to be very careful on that to not antagonize farmers and the main equipment business. We got to look at this sort of integration of the automatic, the autonomous and the smaller scale stuff with the larger scale stuff, because that'll be the way into that market. And, you know, I agree with Joe and stuff. We are going to get there, but it'll be a bit of an iterative process. And from a salesmanship standpoint, we just have to be aware of that because you don't want to intimidate people by giving them the slick sales pitch, so to speak, if you know what I mean. That's all I have to say. But I think we need to take this opportunity this next couple of years and push robotics and the automation into the grain sector as well, which is those bigger acres, which we've shied away from so far just because of the scale of the infrastructure we've been working with. But, you know, I think there's some exciting times in front of us, and let's take advantage of it. That's all I've got.
Awesome. Thanks for your insight.
Thanks, Ian. Good to see you. It's been a while.
All right. I think that's a pretty good overview for the farm show. Joe shared a link to a news story on the working group at the farm show in the chat. So check that out. In the meantime, I'll make sure to add that on the next week's agenda so it's people can access that for a bit. And then a reminder, I have added onto the agenda the Bradford Research Station Demo Day, which is taking place on October 8th. The weekly email this week included the flyer attached to that. So if you can make it out, definitely check that out. We have no new project updates for this week. But for funding announcements, I just received something this morning, so I'll make sure to add it onto next week's agenda. And excuse me, Katan actually shared it in the chat, the link to it. It's the Sustainable Growth and Adoption Program from BioEnterprise. So this funding invites Southern Ontario food and agri-tech businesses to lead projects that accelerate sustainable growth through the adoption and integration of clean technology practices and process enhancements into their operation. Applicants can receive up to $100,000, and the deadline for that application is October 30th. So definitely go and check out that link if that sound excuse me, if that sounds like something that would work for you. All right, at this point, I'd like to open it up to the round table if anybody has any more thoughts or questions, queries, comments? I see Taylor just shared in the chat another opportunity, the Idea Fund. Taylor, I don't know if you want to, since you're here, if you want to speak on that for a minute.
Yeah, just it's provided by Tech Alliance of Southwestern Ontario. They're downtown London, but they serve all everything between essentially Guelph and Windsor area. And it's delivered by a bunch of the different regional innovation centers that I was formerly a part of. I know Haggerty's benefited from that and a couple others, and it's pretty open-ended. It can include funding for international travel, and it's a matched $20,000.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'll put that on the agenda for next week as well.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Appreciate it. And I see Megan sent in a reminder for the SVG Thrive Canada Accelerator with open applications until October 27th. Thanks for reminding folks about that one as well. Any other thoughts or comments from the roundtable? Evan, yeah, go ahead.
Just to add that I think we might have mentioned this, but it's now formally, signed and approved that Vineland was accepted or formally approved as a technology demonstration site with OCI. And with that comes funding through OCI for technology companies in the agri-food space to test and demonstrate and refine their technologies and to use our resources, whether it's instrumentation, people, or space, to help your company get ahead faster or cheaper or with less risk. And so I would suggest connecting with OCI. Many companies already have connections through OCI, but if not, feel free to reach out to myself or my other colleagues on the call, like Mike and Dan, or our Director of Horticulture Technology Services, Brian, who some of you may know already. And we'd be happy to walk you through what it means to be able to use our 200 acres and our variety of specialists to help you grow. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it comes with a good sort of matching fund of, it's one-to-one funds to make this work, and it can be matched with in kind and a variety of other sources as well. So it's really worth exploring, and I'd love to talk to you about it.
Awesome. Ian, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm just going to put in the chat a link to a new platform that I've been working on under our Field Crop News banner. And the reason I'm bringing it up is twofold. One, Chuck and his brother Justin are part of two of the videos. And they're one of the things that I've done since COVID is it's been harder to do on-farm research. And so I've been out trying to cultivate, what neat people are doing and turn that into a video case study and share that with the audience across Ontario. And so the two series that are part of that are Winning with No-Till and Seeding Equipment Decisions. And one of the things that I have in my head is to do something similar in the AgRobotics space. So as we sell some of these robots, go out and profile these farmers, and something that's very visual, because we learn as visual people, right? And I always use the example, if I say the word elephant to you, do you in your head see the word spelled out, or do you see the physical animal? And so let's show people things. And it's hard to get people, like Jason was commenting, a little disappointed in the number of people that went to the field. Well, if we record that and use that elsewhere, we extend those messages. So I encourage people to have a look at any of those episodes and in the crop chats, and maybe we do a series on AgRobotics on the farm type of thing, and that would garner some broader influx into raising the awareness, right? We get the sort of the keeners out to the events and stuff like that, But how do you cultivate others? Well, you show them what positive things other people are doing, and you get them thinking about their own operations and different ways to do things. And so maybe that's something that we should, as an AgRobotics working group, work towards maybe. So just out there for a suggestion.
Great idea.
I
Awesome.
like Evan's idea of having the field demos infiltrate the center.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate all the discussions and the comments on what's going on. It keeps us all thinking and keeps us all moving forward and accountable. So really appreciate that. As I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the farm show, Joe shared a link to a news story on the working group at the farm show. So please do check that out. And Kelly also shared an article from the Bradford Research Station. So that is linked in the chat there, but I'll make sure to throw those up into our links for the agenda next week so that hopefully everybody can take a look at those. Perfect. And with that, I think that'll bring us to the end of our meeting for this week. Thank you to everybody for joining, especially Ashley from Source. And to everyone who I know is very tired from 3 days at the farm show. We really appreciate you still making the effort to get up early on this Friday morning to join us. All right, and with that, thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all hopefully on the call next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Take
Bye
care,
now.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.